I think you also led like almost half of our workshops, spring term. Which one were the? We got the cloud hosting one, and then the AI Dev Tools one. Where did I think we were brainstorming these in a Discord call one night? But where did you get the idea to kind of venture into like more of an AI thing? Because hackathon's more like programming and software development, as well as web dev, which were kind of Owen's projects. But you wanted to go into like kind of a more niche, different category. Where'd that come from?
Yeah, I think with the advancement of AI and AI tools, it would be beneficial for programmers to try and learn these new tools and how to use them to help them with their programming instead of viewing them as not good.
Yeah.
Yeah, AI tools, there's a lot of them out there. ChatGPT, Suno for audio. They are really good for hackathons because within a hackathon, you have to complete a project within like a 48-hour time frame usually, right? And as a programmer, you don't really have a lot of time. Like to make a full-fleshed project in 48 hours, that's not a lot of time. So understanding how to learn tools to help you be a better programmer and more efficient as a programmer, I think is really important. And that's one thing I wanted to talk about as Hackathon Club Vice President.
What do you think about like people using AI for coding, like Copilot and stuff? Would it be the same kind of perspective on that?
Yeah, I think it's how you use the AI tool and how much previous experience you have with programming. So, for example, a calculator. If you've never added or subtracted numbers before, I think a calculator, like using a calculator, it's a little bit of a crutch. Like you wouldn't know exactly what you're doing. You're clicking like 6 plus 8, and then it's like you don't know how to get that yourself. That's probably not a good thing. But I think using AI tools as a programmer is really good for a learning experience. So once you've conquered like variables and basic syntax, if you want to venture further, it's a really good tool to use as like a mentor or a teacher AI tools to help you see what you're missing and to see like what you need to learn. And it can help and walk you through those concepts.
But yeah, since you're majoring in artificial intelligence, I think you talked a little bit about why you're into it. Um, but I feel like you've kind of incorporated AI into your journey here at OSU. We'll talk about your startup a little bit later, but I think there's a little bit of AI in there too, right? But you actually joined the AI at OSU initiative, and you submitted and presented a paper about AI in education. How do you come across this place, and what inspired you to be a part of this?
Yeah. So, how I got the AI at OSU initiative opportunity was I saw in our Outlook calendar or email that there was a school wide email from the AI at OSU initiative, and they were like, hey, fill out the survey, write this paper. And I was like, oh, this is pretty interesting. I could see this being a potential opportunity. So I went through the survey form. I wrote a paper on the topic of AI in education. And I talked about how we could better use AI in a university setting. So, using natural language processing algorithms in survey forms, like in the short response text form, it would make it easier for us to generate the responses from that. Implementing AI courses, like learning about AI as a course at OSU, and like AI course load for colleges. So like we use classes.oregonstate.edu to schedule our classes. And I had an idea like, hey, what if we incorporate AI into this as well? So students know like what are prereqs and what classes they should be recommended to take. And I submitted this paper and they accepted it and they were like, hey, we would love for you to present at this AI at OSU initiative and talk about it. So I got to talk about it in front of academia and industry members, and it was a really fun experience.
How were you? How many people were like at the talk? Were there?
Uh, it was like 20 people in person, and then there were some more on Zoom. I'm not exactly sure, but it was really interesting to be able to present in front of an audience that was much older than I was and be able to contribute some of my ideas to them.
So I think on that note, I think we mentioned that in our last episode we talked about, or in Owen's episode, we talked about like public speaking. Not everyone has that skill of being able to talk in front of people. And I assume, were you like nervous or kind of tense before like talking in front of a group of people?
Yes, I would say I was absolutely nervous before talking in front of that crowd. The night before, I rehearsed my script, I memorized my speech. I did not want to, I guess, mess up, but I do think public speaking is really important. And as computer science majors, we do have to take COM 111. It is a required course here at OSU. And I would say that that course is really beneficial for all majors.
What were your thoughts on the Jensen Huang,
No,
the
yeah,
talk?
it's pretty interesting. I registered and then like I got there like 10 minutes beforehand and the lecture hall was packed. I was like, there's no seats. And then I look in the back and there's like one or two seats available and I'm like, let's take those. And thankfully they were not reserved, but it was definitely like it was like an experience. I was like, oh my goodness, what if I don't get the chance to listen to this?
Yeah.
His speech was really informative. I would say I learned a lot of things related to business and just tech in general. He is really big on AI, I believe, since the chips fuel the AI things. I would say one takeaway from that was imagine like imagine scalability for like software and startups. For me, Architects as a startup, one thing that we wanted to find was like, what's a product that many people will like and purchase. And I think that's a big thing for a lot of businesses, like finding your target market. And Jensen Huang had a really good thing. It was like for your product or service, it's like, can you make this thing 10,000 times better? Can you make this thing 10,000 times faster? And I think a really good example of this is like restaurant ordering. It's like instead of standing in a line and like waiting for your order to be taken, it's like, can this thing be 10,000 times faster? And so that's what like Uber Eats and DoorDash did. And it's been a pretty lucrative business model. And I think like, yeah, that's a pretty good way of approaching it. Like, can this process be 10,000 times cheaper, faster, efficient? As people tend to like that kind of things.
So what's your take on AI in the future? Do you feel like, you know, the AI robots are going to take over the world, or are you like pro AI? Do you support like the advancements?
I think you should have a foundational knowledge of what artificial intelligence is. Uh, it, I don't think it has like a brain yet. It's more like what is the most statistically likely response, as we see in ChatGPT. When you ask it a question, it has like a bunch of data, and it's like from that data, it's like how would someone respond to this, and that's the text response we get. It's definitely like machine learning and linear algebra. Under the hood, it's mathematics and statistics. And I know that's a really big part of AI and machine learning. For me, I would say AI is not at the level yet to replace people fully, as having a human touch is always appreciated and noted. You can definitely tell from any text response or image or video generation that there's something not like there's something off about it. And as humans, we can like tell like, hey, wait a minute, this looks a little bit AI generated. I think in the future we might get to a level where it's like, I'm not sure if that's AI generated or not. But right now, it's like we don't have to worry about that.
Do you think there's going to be a point in time where we have to like actually create like labels or a way to distinguish AI versus reality?
I think a bunch of companies have implemented this already. I think on Instagram and TikTok, when you post images, you have the option and availability to like mark this as, hey, this was AI generated. And I think that's important to note. Uh, for sure, like not every company is doing this yet, but differentiating between like, is this AI generated or not AI generated, uh, might be a big issue in the future.